just keep going. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all you have to do is not quit. That's it. That's all you have to do. It doesn't mean like be stupid or do the same thing every time if it's not working. It doesn't mean just keep pounding a wall relentlessly. But, change. Like, try something else. Try something orthogonal. Try something slightly different. Pivot 15 degrees. See where it gets you. But just don't quit. Like, there were so many moments that were so hard and so honestly dark and painful. And
Yeah.
like, um,
What was the darkest or hardest moment? Like, is there any anecdote you can share? Because I think people really appreciate this, especially when they're struggling with their own startup.
Yeah. I don't, they're too tough and too raw to like talk about publicly. I will say, so I won't give names, I'll generalize. Like, having to part ways with a friend.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There were many of those moments, right? Because in the early stage, you're bringing in everybody you can, bringing in people you know. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Sure.
And like, when you have to make a change and part ways with somebody that you convinced to come join this mission and, it worked so hard to pull out of their current job and promise the world.
Yep.
And then you have to make a change. That is just so hard and a tough thing. And there's been a lot of those moments. That was a lot of moments, and that's some of the hardest stuff. Then there's another few moments that were pretty tough when like I think the hardest thing as a founder is making mistakes on the job because you're a first-time founder, and like, but everybody thinks like, oh, you're a CEO. You like, either you should know what to do or you should just get a professional CEO.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of the hard stuff is like making mistakes on the job and learning to not like beat yourself up over it, because the press is calling you out, employees are calling you out, it just, your users are calling you out. And like, somehow you got to get up in the morning and lead people and have the, I don't know if it's confidence or stupidity or what, but you got to just like get up and just keep going. And man, that is so hard. And I remember a few moments where I clearly made a mistake. I was like, okay, this was my bad. I admitted it to the company, like, hey, I fucked up. And I just didn't run a planning process really well, and it freaked people out, and they were upset and felt like I was, pushing in too much and getting in their way and not creating an autonomous culture. And they were right. And like, I just didn't, wasn't that was my intention. I just didn't understand how to dream with a team. And then that night I went home and I was so embarrassed and I was so bummed and I couldn't sleep, and I woke up at 3 a.m. and I went onto the couch and I was just thinking about that meeting and how shitty of a job I did. And I just started crying, and I was on the couch at 3 a.m. crying. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I just felt so alone and sad. And that was like just a dark, horrible moment, embarrassing. But like, building a company is full of those moments, just over and over. At least for me. Maybe there's some people who just smooth sail the whole way, but not me.